Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very end of the old year, this New Year's Eve. And as always, on the New Year's Eve, it's good to kind of think forward a little bit to the future and what we're going to do with the new year, which is just about to begin. And it is one of those very interesting things, I think, in just human life in general, not just for Buddhist people, but really for everyone, is this idea of making New Year's resolutions. Yeah, we know how people everywhere around the world fail in their New Year's resolutions. They try really hard, they try to use willpower, they try to kind of keep these difficult vows that they make, quit smoking or drink less or keep the 5 precepts or be more kind or be more generous or pay respect to the Buddha or meditate even. Some people even try to meditate. That's really hard for many people. And of course, we tend to fail in these New Year's resolutions. I think on average they last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then the failure sets in. I think for many people it maybe lasts only 3 or 4 days, and then the failure begins already. So one of the important things as Buddhists, if we want to kind of make progress on the path and we want to go further in our endeavor to practice these beautiful teachings of the Buddha, we need to ask ourselves, how can we make our New Year's resolutions more powerful? How can we make them last, not just in the short term, but actually in the long term? And I think one of the obvious ways to start is to make resolutions that we actually can keep, resolutions that are possible, that are within our ability. And if we don't, then of course we're setting ourselves up for failure as a consequence. And one of those things that we should do is to be reasonable. For example, if you would like to do more meditation practice in your life, then set the bar incredibly low. Don't say that you're going to meditate morning and evening for an hour every time, because if you do that, you are setting yourself up for failure again. So instead, put the bar really, really low. Say you're going to meditate for 5 minutes, 5 minutes 3 days a week or something like that. And then see if that works. And do that meditation for 5 minutes in a wise way. Find a beautiful spot for yourself where you feel at ease, where you feel relaxed, where you enjoy the sitting down and relaxing. In the beginning, play some nice chanting or some soothing music with your meditation, just to get you started, to have a nice atmosphere around you. And then, if you start in a very simple way like this, then there is a chance you will succeed. I'm saying this especially to those of you who don't meditate regularly already. For those who already have a regular meditation practice, of course, don't go backwards. But, again, the idea is just to do things in a way that we can actually do. So find that enjoyment in your meditation. And as you do that, you will actually be able to sustain it over the long run. So this is the first kind of piece of advice that I would give you if you're going to make a New Year's resolution. The other one is to remember that the reason why people fail in their New Year's resolutions is basically because they haven't got right view. They have some idea what they want to do. They know they want to be more kind. They know they want to do the right thing in the world. But it's not that deep. It's superficial in a certain sense. And the deeper our understanding of what is going on is, the more profound our understanding is of why it is important to be kind, why it is important to be generous, why it matters not to do bad things or to talk in bad ways, the more powerful our commitment is going to be. And this is all about the idea of right view, seeing the world in the right way. This is where our commitment to ethics and morality actually comes from. So one of the things I would really recommend you to do in the new year is to try to deepen that idea of right view, why these things are really important. And sometimes it's fascinating, the different ways that we can actually do this. You may think that reading the suttas is one way of getting right view, and of course it is. Understanding the Dhamma properly is certainly a way of getting right view. But the problem is that sometimes the Dhamma or the suttas can be too theoretical, too dry. It doesn't really touch us in a deep way. It doesn't have that strong emotional pull, that strong emotional feeling that actually motivates us to practice. I don't know if you have noticed that sometimes you read the sutta and you may agree with the content. You may think the Buddha was very interesting and very inspiring. You may bow down to the Buddha afterwards and have some feelings about these things. But actually, in a deep sense, it doesn't really have a powerful emotional pull on you. So sometimes we need to look for the sources of motivation, not just in the suttas, but also outside, also in different places. And one of the very powerful ways of giving rise to ethics and understanding the importance of kindness and morality is to have a feeling for the idea of rebirth, what happens to us in the future as we move on from the present life. One of the ways of doing that is simply to remind yourself that you're going to die. That's already very useful. But sometimes it is also very useful to understand more about the dying process, the rebirth process that comes after that. And for me, one of the powerful ways that I sometimes use to supplement my understanding of the sutras is to read stories. Stories of people who've had experiences either in the past, stories that concern maybe the idea of going from one life to the next one, like children having memories of past lives, but also near-death experiences. They are very interesting experiences when you start to understand what they're all about. Recently, we had a lady staying at Bodhinyana Monastery, and this was a very inspiring lady, I have to admit. She was she was a laywoman. She keeps the 8 precepts. She lives by herself on her own little property. And she mentioned some experience that she had had in her life. And she talked about a near-death experience where she was basically just lying on the floor, unable to catch her breath. She had some kind of seizure because of epileptic seizure or something like that. And she thought she was going to die because she wasn't able to breathe. And during this process, as she thought she was going to die, she realized she wasn't ready to die because she had this regret, this remorse in her mind of some of the things that she had done. Even though they were very minor things, because she was a very good person already, she had this sense that there are things, especially to my near family and others, that I shouldn't have done. And then because of that regret, because of that remorse, she tried to catch her breath, and gradually over the period of 20 minutes or half an hour, she was able to kind of revive herself, get breathing again, get going again. And as a result, she survived this kind of near-death experience that she had. But she said that this had a very, very powerful impact on her life because she realized the danger, even the slightest misconduct, the slightest thing that goes wrong would always lead to a sense of remorse and a regret on your deathbed. Will always make you drag yourself down and drag yourself to a darker and more unpleasant state as a consequence. And you can only imagine what the effect of that will be on your rebirth process. It's going to lead to some kind of negative consequences in the future. And she said the impact of this experience, understanding the power, understanding the danger of remorse and regret, was so powerful that it was lodged in her mind. And after that experience, the mindfulness, the understanding, the right view, basically, of what this is about, was so established in her mind that now it is almost impossible for her, she says, to do anything wrong. Everything she does comes from a sense of compassion, of kindness, of care, and all of these kind of things, because she saw the danger or even the slightest fault, the slightest wrong thing in this life. So this is what I mean by understanding real life consequences of what we do. And one way of approaching this that you may wish to use yourself is to read some books about near-death experiences. There are some very interesting books available these days. There was a recent one that was published quite recently called After. After, A-F-T-E-R, a very short title. And if you look it up on the internet, you should be able to find it very easily. And books like that, that tell stories of what happens to people. And these are the kind of stories they tell, the stories of regretting their conduct, understanding the power of being kind, of being compassionate, understanding of all people around us. This is a takeaway from these near-death experiences. And it is said that these people, after they have these things, they come back to the ordinary life again. They are more kind. They don't care so much about the worldly things anymore. They're not so concerned about status, about position, about all of these kind of things, about the material things in the world. They know it is a quality of the heart, the quality of our mind, how we care for each other that actually really matters in life. And they become more caring, they become more kind as a consequence. So by reading these stories, you don't actually have to have a near-death experience. And this is one of the interesting consequences of this. It's actually sometimes enough to read the stories to impact you very powerfully. And you start to realize how these things really matter. So this is a way of approaching the idea of right view. Hearing, seeing some real-life experiences, something which adds and supplements the suttas in a very powerful way, and then right view starts to arise. And we all know that right view is the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. You can now see why this is so important. As you solidify that right view, the right intention arises, and you become a better person as a consequence. And you start to fulfill all the factors of morality, thinking in the right way, and then, lo and behold, even your meditation starts to happen as a consequence. So maybe before you only wanted to meditate for 5 minutes, now suddenly half an hour becomes easy for you because your mind is in a different state, leaning in a different direction. So try this for your New Year's resolution. Don't, again, set the bar too high. Keep things simple. If you have a hard time meditating, start with 5 minutes per day and then see how it goes from there. Secondly, remember the power of right view, the importance of understanding these teachings in a way that actually means something to you emotionally. What does rebirth really mean in an emotional way? How does it empower your path in this way? And read some literature that actually help you to appreciate these things. Establish yourself in right view. Build up those perceptions of what death and rebirth really mean. And then I can guarantee you that something is going to happen on the path as a consequence. So that is my little New Year's message to you. And if you're able to take this on board and you're able to establish some of these things, they may sound very basic, but this to me is where the new resolutions really can make a difference. So to finish off, let us share the merit of the past year, and let us just to all the good things that we have done in our practice, let's share it with our relatives and also all other beings at the same time. So we'll just do the traditional merit sharing here. So here we go. Edang me nyati nang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo. Edang me nyati nang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo. Edang me nyati nang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo. And I will also give you a short blessing just to wish you a very happy new year with lots of Buddhist blessings and all the good things of the Dhamma coming your way. So here we go. Nati me saranang anyang Buddho me saranang varang etena sachava Jena suati te hotu sambada Nati me saranang anyang Dhammo me saranang varang etena sacavaje nasotite hotu sabada nati me sarananganya sango me saranang varang etena sacava jena sotite hotu sabada. That's wishing you all happiness and blessings for the new year. Now let's finish off by paying respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha and do the Arahang Samma Sambuddha together here. Here we go. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Svakatu Bhagavata Namo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami